Ryan, Amanda, and Eric, and the voice of NEW. Vince Berry, hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT, handing out smackdowns. Follow on IG Plus. It's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here, no safe space. Now listen in, time to hear from some of the greats.
That's what was only right.
Oh, man. Makes me sad. Well, before we get into it, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the War Report podcast brought to you by TagMeDate.com, the first and only dating site exclusively for fans of professional wrestling. Oh, and the music, for those of you who are not aware, is the music of the the Viking Experience, the War Raiders, War Machine. I don't know what you want to call them, but
in the words of my son, the fucking Raiders, you know.
Yeah, I know. the Viking Raiders here. Ivar, who the world should know better as Warbeard, because that's his damn name. This Ivar shit's gotta go. But anyway, Ivar undergoing neck surgery, which is weird because everybody thought that he injured his knee last week when he did that dive, and it turned out that he injured his neck, which I guess it's one of those injuries that I guess was it was coming either way, and this just happened to be the thing that the straw that broke the camel's back, unfortunately, was that dive. But
and now they're saying the worst part is it was a lot more serious than they first thought, and now they're saying it could be even more than a year before he returns. So yeah, that really sucks.
That's crazy. So of course, I work with, I won't say his real name. I work with Warbeard for a very long time on the indies. Everybody that's ever run into him on the indies would never, ever have a bad thing to say about him. Great guy. And it's just unfortunate that he's going to miss perhaps more than a year of his career, when I know that he's closer to 40 than he is to 30. So whenever it's an athlete, you want those last couple of years. So unfortunately, he's going to be out for quite a while. And now,
and then you also have his partner as well. So now,
what's going to happen with him? Is he going to be around now? Because that was a thing. They were in the Raw Underground, and I don't know, like that thing with the Street Profits that really didn't go anywhere. Like I wish it did, but it didn't. They did all these contests and competitions and everything else, and it went nowhere. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but if you're watching the video, I'm the only one with hair. We've got the Vulcan girl from Star Trek the motion picture in one screen, and then I'm trying to think. I was trying to think of another bald character who was a woman. I couldn't think of one.
Autumn called me Serena Deeb, so
there you go. Nebula from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, Nebula.
You could do the blue. That could be your Halloween costume. You just paint it on. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Street Profit War Raiders thing. Didn't lead to anything, and now Garza and Andrade are going to break up, right? That seems like that's coming. And Zelina's announced she's not going to be a manager. She's going to be a wrestler. A lot of changes coming.
No comment.
Well, I mean, there are worse things, right, than Selena.
Oh, yeah. No, she's not a bad wrestler.
She can actually go. You know what I mean? It's just the unfortunate thing. She's tiny. Sometimes, that doesn't, but she's talented as hell. She's gorgeous. So, listen, it's about time. She was a wrestler before she ever was a manager.
Sure.
She took on the role. She did that very well. Now she wants to get in the ring. I give it to her. I think it's great. It just kind of sucks too because it looks like Andrade is kind of getting lost in the shuffle now.
That's the unfortunate thing about it, is that he's getting lost in the shuffle, and now it's like the tag team. I just don't know what's going on with this tag team situation, because now you've got Shinsuke and Cesaro coming over from SmackDown, and the Street Profits are, now they're feuding with them instead. Like, aren't those both tag team champions from both brands, and now they're going against each other? Or who? I don't even know who the tag team champs on SmackDown are right now. Is it them or is it not them?
Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah. Okay, so
they're the tag champions.
Yeah.
So you're kind of hoping that having two different brands and two different sets of tag titles, that should open it up to more tag teams. Now you're consolidating those two potential feuds into one feud. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just
merge the titles. I keep saying.
Well, that's the thing. If they're not going to be treated separately, if there's not going to be a respect that there's a brand split and all that, just consolidate them, make one. That's all I need to know.
Yeah,
I actually had a dream that all the tag teams broke up, and now it seems to be somewhat of a reality.
It's really, and not just them. It's the women's tag team.
They just broke up the Iconics.
And I mean, I don't know.
Still hate that.
I don't.
Billy Kay is going to be getting released.
Well, yeah, I feel like that's unfortunately going to be the side effect of it for sure.
Or they'll put her on the other brand and have her with a new partner or something.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
But here, so let me ask this.
They're one of those teams that don't work if they're not together. It's like an Enzo Cass thing.
Yeah.
You couldn't split up Enzo and Cass. It sucked. You break up the Iconics. It's gonna suck. I happen to be an Iconic fan, but
Billy
it's not gonna work.
Billy Kay or not Billy Kay, Peyton Royce will do just fine. Unfortunately, it's we always go back to this comparison when it comes to a tag team, right? It's Billy Kay is going to be the Marty Jannetty, and Peyton's going to be Shawn Michaels. I don't think she'll ever get to that kind of level.
Yeah, but at least in that scenario, both of them could work at that point.
Listen, at the end of the day, it made no sense to split them up. To me,
no, even if they were going singles, it didn't matter. Like you didn't have to have them split. It could be an amicable split. I don't know. It just seemed like it was.
It was a stupid reason to make them the split with the Riot Squad the way that it was set up. It was dumb.
Right. It was such a last-minute decision with no build-up. There was a major consequence without any feeling behind it or any story behind it. It was just like, okay, we're going to have a tag team match tonight where the loser splits up. But this hadn't been...
Why?
Right. It wasn't a pay-per-view. It wasn't WrestleMania. It wasn't... They'd been feuding for 8 weeks, and it was
or there was an injury and someone had to take time off.
And there was just nothing that led you to think, okay, these two teams are going to feud together, and one of them has to split up. Well, what fucking good does that do anybody?
Well, listen. There's a lot of things we could be asking. I mean, listen. We're on Raw, right? So let's talk about another disaster that happened during Monday Night Raw. And I would really like to address what the hell was up with the Asuka James finish.
I think the referee fucked up, and that's it. I really think that has to be it.
Well, so I really was kind of like, I need to know. I need to hear something. So I did a little looking around, and apparently what they're saying is that ultimately Mickie James was selling the Asuka lock so well that the referee honestly thought she couldn't go and stop the match. I've never heard of such a fucking thing.
I know, that's what I don't want to.
I
would hate to even spread that around because you think it's so silly. You think.
Listen, quote unquote, according to multiple sources, James is completely fine.
Yeah, she's fine.
Officials and the referee all thought that she was out of it and unable to continue and prematurely rang the bell. PWInsider.com further adds that this is because James sold the Oscar lock so well and fooled everyone. It was reported that the actual finish was supposed to be James tapping out anyway.
Well,
But-
yeah, but I mean, God, what a bunch of fucking marks they have working there. That everything's she's hurt. It's wrestling, you fucks. Like, I just don't understand it. It's so simple.
Have you ever heard of a case where somebody sold too well? Like
No.
that's the dumbest
Never.
fucking thing
It's
I've
never
ever heard.
happened in- no.
Like, Dolph
You would think
Ziggler
that would
is
ever
known-
happen, like when someone was getting a Yokozuna Banzai drop or something. Then that would be a sell. They're dead. Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah, how
Dolph
is she
Ziggler's
gonna-
a perfect example. Dolph Ziggler is known as being one of the best sellers in the business today. You know what I mean? You never hear, "Oh, he sucks. He sells way too well." Like,
He sells way too well.
Weirdest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's weird. Beyond.
I just
Raw is-
assumed she was injured, but I guess she's not.
No, I mean, watching that, it was just so weird because she had this face on, like, after the bell rang, she was just like, what are we doing here? I
And she
mean,
quickly rolled out of the ring. Smart.
oh, God. It's just,
I
that's
think they called an audible and had something that
right. I
I
think
don't
they
think
just
that was
didn't know.
necessarily planned.
No, they thought that was the finish, and I'm sure the guy thought it was the finish and it was gonna be the finish or whatever. It's just so embarrassing that would happen. And it's not
So
embarrassing.
is he going to be wished well in his future
I know.
endeavors?
Because it's embarrassing. The problem is, it's not even like it was Mickey's fault. She didn't like do something wrong. She did something right and then it screwed up and made her look bad. So it's kind of on that guy. Like, that's on him. It should really,
Do you know who the ref was?
I don't know who the ref was. They don't have names
Yeah, I was just
anymore.
gonna. Now I gotta look that up.
I don't want them to have names anymore.
Right, yeah, that was the other stupid thing that they've been doing is referees can't have names. So then you just got to go back to, the tall guy. Okay, we don't even know these. Like, at least when Charles Robinson, everybody had names. You knew what the referees' personalities were, and some guys called matches differently. Like, there was a whole skill to being an official back in the day.
Yeah,
Not
like
there is
Earl
now.
Hebner would push you back,
Yeah, the nuance is lost a little bit, but oh shit, I don't want us to start. I almost tapped on our live stream and started us playing in like a loop. Raw has still, for as much as they're doing right with like the Hurt business, I don't quite understand. It's starting to the main event thing is starting to get a little muddy with Randy Orton and Keith Lee and Drew. But Drew has a broken jaw, but he's going to compete, but he has a hairline fracture. But if he can't compete, then Keith Lee's going to compete. And if Randy Orton can't do it, then Keith Lee's the substitute. And this one's that one, and that one's
which
driving
at that
an
point, why wouldn't you just make it a triple threat match?
Yeah.
And then on top of it, now you got this fucking retribution, which
who
keeps
gives a shit?
multiplying.
It's
Which
so
keeps multiplying. It's
stupid.
horrible. It's horrible. It is dead on arrival.
And then they found the only fucking guy in the world bigger than Braun Strowman and said, hey, let's make them wrestle. Like, the attraction is Braun Strowman's a fucking giant and everybody's smaller than him. When there's a guy that's bigger than him, it's not a good thing, especially if he can't work. That's the other thing. I don't know if this guy can work. I've never seen him. I know it's Daba Kato now instead of Baba Tunde. And I don't know which one is the less racist, Baba Tunde or Daba Kato. Like, they both sound like somebody's just sitting there, give him one of those click-clack names. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, what are you doing? Like, let's give this guy a character. Daba Kato is like, I'm picturing the guy wearing the Hornet, the mask from the Green Hornet that Bruce Lee was
Yeah.
Kato, but he's not Kato. He doesn't have the mask on. Yeah, the whole thing's
The doorman is bigger than both of them.
but that's the thing. And then the door guy's a giant bouncer too. Like Braun Strowman, you just sold like for 6 months he was the world champion and was like this big unstoppable guy that smashed, cars and flipped over cement trucks and all that's happy horse shit. And now you just find two guys bigger than him in the same episode. Two guys bigger than him. Who does that? Yeah, and then Retribution, the Who Gives a Shit Brigade paraded in, and the Hurt Business is supposed to take care of them now, and that's, there's nothing I want to see more than, those four bad guys against 8 guys in masks who may or may not be bad guys, who are probably bad guys. Like, why are the bad guys going after the bad guys?
Vince, remember?
Am I trying to make too much sense out of this?
Remember when the NWO got so big that the whole thing just got stupid in it, but you know how it took like 5 or 6 years for that to actually happen? The WWE has managed to do that with Retribution in less than 30 days.
They really did.
I mean,
congratulations, McMahons.
I just don't understand. And then we have a Facebook user, like it, however, have question on the ALW League.
Yeah, now I'm trying to figure out in my head, is it MLW? Is it AEW? I'm sure it's one of them. It's either Major League Wrestling or All Elite Wrestling, or it's Absolute Intense Wrestling from Indianapolis, Indiana, who also have shows coming up. So check those guys out. But anyway, if you have your question, go ahead, ask it. It'll pop up on the screen. We'll answer it when it comes in. But yeah, Raw is just it's a freaking mess.
Well, and then when we talk about mess, we have to talk about the biggest mess of them all. And that we're still having Seth Rollins defeat Dominic now in a steel cage match, which and I'm sorry, but was there a little tease of something between Mysterio's daughter and Buddy Murphy?
And Buddy Murphy, yep.
So what in the fuck are we about to get into?
Romeo and Juliet. It's gonna be the Rollinses and the Mysterios, and they're gonna be caught in the middle, star-crossed lovers. And then I hope somebody kills themselves, for Christ's sake. Oh,
this isn't going away.
Ray's already dead. Remember, he got thrown off the Titan to the top of the WWE. So
that's why his eye popped out. He's a zombie.
I will say this though. It was a great match, even though it was still like Dominic impresses me week in and week out. End of the day, he's fantastic. I mean, for him being as technically green as he is, and listen, if anyone's paying dues, this kid, huh?
Oh yeah,
he has to go back down the card now. You can't. He spent so much time with this main event feud stuff with Seth, and then he came out the loser.
And he will. Listen, dude, at the end of the day, Seth Rollins is leaving soon. Seth Rollins is leaving soon, or at least that's the rumor.
Oh boy.
Becky's probably having the baby soon, so he's going to take some time
December,
off.
yeah.
So we have to keep that in mind too. So that'll then bump Dominic down. Listen, they're not giving Dominic a championship, or
it just feels like too much too soon for the kid. I don't want him to get, NXT'd. So
or have him tag with Humberto Carrillo or something.
I feel like that's the next thing.
That guy's associated with Ray anyway, so
Right, they're gonna take one of those guys and they're gonna be like, "Hey, SA, we're amigos now."
You know what though? Humberto's fantastic too, though.
The white people said us Mexicans should stick together. You know what I mean? Like that's just what happens. There's just
really, Vince.
No, wait a minute. These two guys are Mexican. We're just from the creators of the Hurt Business.
What's Chavo doing these days?
He's on the golf course, didn't you know?
Where's El Dandy?
Listening to Sinatra, yeah. Ain't right.
If El Dandy comes back to manage Rey Mysterio's son, you know what? I'm on board. And Super Calo. We need Super Calo.
Yeah. The sunglasses within his mask. That was cool.
Yeah.
But it's just funny if he does get stuck. Not stuck, but if he gets paired up with another Hispanic guy, it's just going to be another okay, we get it. Do
you think one of the two of Angel or turning babyface?
What is the deal with Andrade though? I feel like did they give up on him? I really don't know what the scuttlebutt is, but I hope they didn't give up on that guy because he's he should be a main event guy. He's proven that he could be a main event guy in NXT, and then
he's a Flair.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You got to be fair to Flair.
Maybe they pair them up together when
that would be a great way to get Andrade like higher up in the card.
Right, to at least acknowledge that they're married and parenting. I mean, you could do it with if Zelina's wrestling now, have Zelina and what's his name, Black there.
Yeah, Black is a heel now, so that would be cool.
Yeah, and then they could feud against each other, and it would kind of work.
Yeah, but
Bring
how
back a little
often
mix
do
max.
Yeah.
How often do all these relationships, when you pair them on TV that are from off TV, actually work really well?
That's true.
Name one that's actually lasted a long ass time.
Randy and Miss Elizabeth.
That was 84 to 91.
Yes, they had a good run. Everybody
They had a good run, but most of their career, but part of it, they separated them though.
Luna and Gangrel.
They were divorced.
Shit. I can't. You're right. It doesn't work.
You're gonna
Especially
really say something about me with my friendship with Van about something about has to do.
Rusev and Lana, but that didn't work out either. On TV, not in real life. On TV,
Not on. No, that's it. But if you put them on TV, if they're like Seth and Becky are doing fine because they split up the characters.
You're right, because
That was horrible when they
Jim
put that
Campbell was
together for a
crazy.
while last year.
the man's man.
I mean, look what happened with Terry Reynolds and Dustin. I will give Cody and Eden, they're doing well, but they're not working together.
Right. Yeah, it's not like they haven't.
You can see Steve Mungo, McMichael, and Deborah. We know how many times she's been passed around.
Sable and Mark Miro.
Thank you, Brock.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, Sable's been with Brock much longer.
Brock is going to steal your wife.
but they're not together on screen. When was the last time we saw Sable? Thank you, God. But
Oh yeah, because that's what we need is more Sable. But you're right. No, there's a good point. There aren't a lot of husband and wife or boyfriend girlfriend couples that really seem to work out.
And like Charlotte and Andrade both deserve their spots. I know, Eric, you're not a huge Charlotte fan. I'm sorry, but
No, she definitely deserves her spot.
I don't think putting them together benefits either one of them, and it might do something to what actually could to their relationship down the pike because it doesn't work.
Speaking of relationships too, now Mandy got moved to Raw. So now you're splitting Mandy and Otis.
Has she actually been moved to Raw?
Yes, they confirmed it on Raw last night.
Okay, because
they're calling it Mandy Night Raw. I almost threw up a little.
Oh my Lord!
Thank you, Vince. If I could see if I threw mine, I would have done the same thing.
I can't. I mean, you guys are all blurry now, but oh my God! Did they really? They said Mandy Night Raw.
She tweeted it. Yeah.
And then Cole.
Of course,
Corey Graves. Yeah.
Oh no!
Corey Graves. Of course, they repeated it.
It's going to be repeated to death now.
Yeah, because I thought this
Like Boss Time and the Big
Big
Dog.
dog.
But I thought that Johnny Mundo or whatever, Johnny Nitro and The Miz, they talked about how they had friends and influence and this and that. I thought this was like not a swerve, but like a fake out. Like they made Otis think that Mandy got traded to like get in his head, and that it was going to turn out she really wasn't traded. But
That would be so much better than what's probably going to happen.
Right, because now, I mean, they're already setting it up. They're like, okay, this was funny for a couple months. Oh, the fat guy got the girl. All right, we're going to split them up. We're going to give Johnny Nitro the money in the bank, and then he's just going to go lose to Roman Reigns at Survivor Series or whatever the fuck happens. Like you can tell whatever plans they had for Otis, as soon as they announced for real that Mandy is on Raw, that's it for Otis. Sorry, buddy. Welcome back to the tag team division. That's just what it is, unfortunately.
It's crazy.
So I'm gonna have to find glasses without any glasses on.
We should definitely then switch gears now and talk about SmackDown, because I actually have been enjoying SmackDown a little bit more because you got a little bit more going on. I mean, you always got The Fiend and Bliss, which we'll get into, but Roman being back, being a heel, I got to tell you, Eric said last week, and he said, I have a theory. What if they brought back the finger poke? And and we all kind of said, oh, we'd be kind of okay with it. It'd be different. But the more I think about it, I could so see it actually being real, and that they are going to, even the fact that they just did a promo where Uso was talking about how Heyman has connections with his family. I could just totally see a Samoan faction led by Heyman and Roman being the leader. Like, it's going to be both Usos. It's going to be whatever other Tamina will probably get in there, like whoever they can possibly get. I think that's going to kind of be the next big, so a finger poke, I don't think is so far fetched, to be honest with you.
Really? Because you don't think he's just going to go out there and just beat the shit out of him and pin him? You think it's going to be the guy's actually going to give it up for him?
Oh, listen, it's going to be one of the two. It's either Roman's just going to fucking destroy him, and it's going to be a squash, in my opinion, or it's going to be a finger poke, which would be very different. We haven't seen something like a finger poke since Hogan and Nash.
There's a reason for that.
Oh, yeah.
But listen, that was so fucking brilliant because the amount of heat they got for it was, it did everything that it was supposed to do.
And it was
on the same night that Foley won the title.
Yeah.
That was bad timing. But it really wasn't the finger poke. The finger poke was just kind of emblematic of everything else that was going on at the time. It was more with the rest of the booking.
And that was before Russo came on board.
Oh God, and it just got worse. Because
then we got Judy Bagwell on the forklift.
Yeah. At least, on AEW when Trent's mom Sue comes out and drives them to the ring in her minivan, she isn't on a forklift or anything. And in fact, the silliest group out there, the best friends, Chuck E.T. and Trent, have a feud going on with the proud and powerful LAX, whatever you want to call them, Santana and Ortiz.
LAX Light.
Yeah, but they're going to do a parking lot brawl this week because Santana and Ortiz vandalized Sue's soccer mom van. So, there's a story there, at least, but she's not on a forklift. She's not in the forklift. That's a good part of the story.
Does she have a Karen hairdo? I didn't notice.
I don't think Sue has a Karen hairdo. They saved that for Vicky, who is now the manager.
Vicky's had the Karen hairdo before Karen was a thing.
Oh, yeah, she did. And now she's just,
She stole it from Kate Goslin.
Yeah.
What, the hairdo?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was John and Kate +8 thing. Yeah.
That's funny. But anyway, SmackDown, you're right. I think there's a lot more going on the show.
Well, if you think about it, they have really something going on for every quarter of the show. You know what I mean? So you've got the Roman Heyman deal. You've got one of my favorite storylines and something we must address, which is Alexa Bliss going into her trance and using a Sister Abigail on Nikki Cross. I don't know, but it was awesome.
Freaking amazing.
I love everything about it.
And there was an interview, and in the background was Rambling Rabbit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Rambling Rabbit was in the back of the interview. Oh, and they introduced the Wobbly Walrus on the house.
Which is a total shot at Paul Heyman.
Oh yeah, right.
Right.
Just Paul Heyman as a walrus. There's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing subtle about it. The Vince McMahon puppet did throw out a "That's good shit, pal." So they're aware of that now.
I mean, listen, they're all poking fun at each other, so it's all fucking good.
And so just to briefly go back to Monday Night Raw for half a second, Rusev in an interview was like, "Well, I hope that WWE doesn't do anything to take it out on Lana because of what I said on AEW last week." And sure as shit this week, Lana gets the shit kicked out of her like clockwork. It was boom, but literally thing on AEW. Rusev is like, maybe it won't be so bad. And then bang, Monday night comes and she's just laid out. But anyway, I think SmackDown definitely has the edge now. It's got their edge in the ratings numbers. I mean, they're pulling in over 2 million viewers a week, which is great. I know they were expecting somewhere maybe in the 3, maybe even 4 million range. That wasn't, at least nowadays, it's just not feasible. Raw is getting smushed. The third hour of Raw, the first 2 hours, they're not doing as well as they could be doing, but the first 2 hours are staying in like the 1.8 million, 1.6 million range, and then like the third hour comes along, just drops to 1.5 million people, and it's terrible for a flagship show of that major brand. And now it's not. Raw is not the number one show. SmackDown is the number one show because it's on Fox, which is a real network as opposed to a cable network like USA. So it feels like all of the care that they usually put into like NXT and the care that they usually put into Raw, they're like, fuck it, those two shows stink. We're just going to focus on SmackDown. And then it's just Raw and Raw and NXT just do whatever the fuck they want. They're like, okay, we're going to focus on SmackDown.
And sooner or later, Dynamite's going to be the number one.
Dynamite just broke for the first time since their second week or third week, broke 1 million viewers. They did 1.4 million their first week, 1.2 million their second week, and then was like 800, 900,000, always around there. They would have lows during the holidays. They dipped like 650,000 whatever. This week, they're over to just about 1.1 million viewers, and they had between 100,000 and 110,000 pay-per-view buys for the last pay-per-view, and that was for what was considered by the card a pretty weak pay-per-view for AEW standards at least. So good news all around for them, and not so great news for every WWE show except for SmackDown, because like NXT is putting on good numbers when they're not against AEW. Both AEW and NXT are doing like 200,000 viewers better when they're on different nights, which tells there's like an overlap of about 250,000 people that'll watch both. The solution is to obviously have them on separate nights. There's no reason that NXT shouldn't be on Tuesday, where SmackDown was, or at least just not directly competing with AEW, because we know what it is. Everybody knows what it is. It's just there to try and take viewers away from AEW. But
right.
At what point is USA Network going to say, we want to stop losing viewers, so we're going to put you on Tuesday, we're going to put you on Thursday, because we know that you can do 200,000 more on a night that's not competing with this other show. It just, if your only concern is to take away viewers from another show, that's not the way to be doing business, at least not right now.
And not to mention, with everything going on, football's back.
Right. And
football, so now you've got Raw competing with the NFL. So they usually get clobbered when they're doing well.
And that's the thing, is like now they're down. And I mean, we say they're down and they're still performing relatively well in comparison to other cable programming, especially programming on USA. USA doesn't really have a heck of a lot of original programming right now. They got Snowpiercer and like one or two other original programs, aside from like Chrisley Knows Best and Miz and Miz.
How is that show still on?
Otis Takes a Shit in the Woods, or whatever the next show they're going to come out with is. They don't really have a lot of original.
But they're not even filming new episodes of anything right now. So
WWE's kind of in a good spot where they're producing content when a lot of other shows aren't. So they could be I don't want to say be saved by the pandemic because nothing else is going on. But if on the flip side, when things start to come back and shows start filming again and movies start getting broadcast again or filmed again and go back into movie theaters and all that, what's going to happen to the WWE product? It's a product that's already not performing well on USA. It's performing fine on Fox, but on USA, it's just not doing well. And who knows if that's the lead-ins. There's nothing else on the channel aside from Law & Order SVU episodes and Modern Family. So who's watching USA Network? But like TNT, I know, like on Wednesdays, before and after AEW, there's a movie on that I'll like to watch. It's like Walking Tall or The Gladiator or Shawshank Redemption.
It was Four Brothers last week.
Oh, but like 1 week they put on Shawshank Redemption is like a 3-hour-long movie, and I sat down and the whole thing. I couldn't look away. So like that's what I like about TNT is they're showing these movies that you want to watch afterward. So like after Raw, they put on Modern Family, and I don't know. it's not really. That's not the program you show after wrestling. It just doesn't feel right. Like, it's just too cutesy.
Well,
of
it
a
used
show.
to be back. You may have not been born yet, but it used to be. What was it? Oh my God, what the heck was it? Like La Femme Fatale or something used to be.
Nikita for years. Oh,
Well, did you hear the latest? The latest thing that they're exploring is holding TV shows outdoor venues. So that could also be a little bit of a game changer, but that also tells me that you're going to try and social distance and have live crowds outdoors, which is still kind of risky for both your talent and the people that are going. What are your thoughts?
Might be easier for me to get into that than it was for the Thunderdome last night for Autumn.
Yeah, it's a different game now because now, especially with AEW having these 500 to 700 person crowds, you knew WWE was going to try the same thing when they felt it was safe to do so. Their contract, whenever it ends with, was it Amway Arena, wherever they are right now?
That doesn't end until January.
Okay, so they're starting, but the scuttlebutt is they're negotiating with outdoor open air arenas in Florida where they can do. It almost sounds like they're going to do a hybrid of Thunderdome screens and a limited live audience. There's no great solution to it. There's no 100%, but here's the other thing. There's just no 100% for any disease or whatever germ. If anybody's ever been to if you went to the old Yankee Stadium, not this new nice one, I'm talking about the old Yankee Stadium. If you've ever touched the railing at old Yankee Stadium, you are immune from coronavirus.
Or Penn Station.
I mean, the layer, there was a layer of
Old
film.
Shea Stadium.
Everything. Right, the old Shea Stadium, because and they were just dirty, nasty ballparks, but they were
Coliseum.
something about them that felt you were there, and like the dirt and the grime was all part of it. Now all these arenas are so nice and clean. Like, you've got so many entrances that you can have people go to, have their temperatures taken. If they have to require a COVID test beforehand, or the temperature thing, or the nose, whatever, and they have to get a wristband to signify that they've taken the test, whatever it takes. If they think that there's a safe way that they can get groups of people in, go for it. I feel like as long as you're not trying to get 10,000 people in, that's ridiculous. If you want to get a couple hundred people and you say a couple of you sit over here, a couple of you sit over here, and spread out, there could be a responsible way to do it. As long as they're not trying to bring back full arenas full of people.
And it's going to be a long time before that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, let a few people in as long as they do it safely.
You guys hear Booker T said that he tested positive too last month?
Yeah, I just read that today.
Man, they're like, and I wonder if that has anything to do with him being at the WWE events. Because remember, that was like how Renee got it and a whole bunch of other people in WWE got it.
AJ Styles.
Yeah, there was a minor, I don't want to say minor because like 30 or 40 people got it, but you know what I mean? Relatively minor outbreak there.
Oh, compared to other places, absolutely. But
right.
Which means they're doing something right if they were able to curtail it to that many people. But
yeah,
still not good.
No, I agree. So I mean, there's definitely a safe way to do it, and I hope they have figured that out. And if so, bring crowds back, because I'm not a fan the virtual crowd thing. I'm not a fan of the crowd noise being pumped in. It's just
what I will give them, all of the wrestling promotions, is they're trying different things out.
Oh, for sure. I saw there was I want to say it was Game Changer Wrestling. I think that's who it was. Because Eric's favorite wrestler, Joey Janela, was wrestling, so it probably had to be Game Changer. But they ran at a high school football stadium, and the ring was at the 50-yard line, and then the crowd people like brought their own lawn chairs, or if there were chairs that were all spread out. They weren't in rows. It was like, we've got a whole football stadium, stay away from people. So everybody just kind of spread out when they got there, and figured out this, the best way for them to stay 6 feet away from people that they didn't know. So that's a solution. Ring of Honor just started back up for the first time in months, and they're going full. There's no audience, there's no seats, there's no arena. Excuse me. They're really just doing the entrance, the video screen, the ramp, and then the ring with the barricade around it. You can't even see empty. It's not even that you can see empty seats. They are just showing the ring and the angles of the ring. And Ring of Honor is trying this new. It's not really new. It's a new old thing where the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, which hasn't been around for at least a decade, is being brought back. And the Ring of Honor Pure Championship had different rules than your standard wrestling championship. You're allowed one closed fist punch during the match, otherwise you're disqualified. You get 3 rope breaks, and that's it. So if you have more than 3, if you already broke a hold 3 times on the ropes and you try to use it on the 4th, you're not even, the referee can't count it. Even if you're holding the rope, they don't count it because you've already used your 3 rope breaks. So they're trying to lean into more of a sports-based presentation that everybody talks about that never really quite happens. That's what Ring of Honor is doing now. They're actually trying to present it as a sport. So they're doing a tournament for the Pure Championship. So all the matches are being wrestled in this very world of sport, catch wrestling kind of style, still with, top rope moves and things of that nature. But like, it's really more towards this tournament is more focused towards guys who are grappling and submissions and different things like that. So it's nice to see that they're trying something else as well. And in Japan, they can let into I think they can do 30%, and soon the government's going to let even more people in. So they can do 30% to 50% capacity. And so Japan's getting it figured out because their numbers are improving. And, everybody's just kind of moving ahead with different ways of getting their audience involved in the shows.
Impact is even becoming somewhat watchable again.
Except that Josh Matthews is the commentator. Holy Jesus. That's a really, that's the only downside to the program to me. The only downside is Josh Matthews, because you got a bunch of wrestlers there that I'd like to watch and are good performers. And you've got Courtney Rush, there's Rosemary. You got a really good women's division.
Deanna's the champion now. That's awesome.
Yeah, and Deanna's the champion. Jordan Grace is there. Taya Valkyrie's there. And it's a
Kira
good
Hogan.
division. Yeah, and then Kira Hogan for it. And then Moose is wrestling. Eric Young was just made their world champion again, which, I mean,
Eddie Edwards is now the new Tommy Dreamer, basically.
Eddie Edwards became Tommy Dreamer. He just, became a hardcore. What happened is he got hit in the head by what's his face there with the hair? Sammy Callahan. He doesn't even have the hair anymore. But Sammy used to have this terrible, terrible hair. Anyway, but he really hit him. He hit Eddie Edwards in the face with a baseball bat that was supposed to hit a chair, but it didn't hit the chair. It hit him square in the skull. So ever since then, the excuse is that thing turned him into a hardcore wrestler.
I'm waiting for the he's hardcore signs.
It's really that's really what they're trying to do, because the whole thing even involved Tommy at one point in the feud with Sammy. Tommy was coming in and trying to get Sammy, or trying to get Eddie Edwards not to go down this. He's like, listen, I went down this path, and I know what you're doing, blah blah blah. Don't do it. Don't be like me. And long story short, he said, screw that. I'm just gonna do it. And now you're right. Eddie Edwards, exactly the phrase, is the new Tommy Dreamer. He's that kind of hardcore character. But there's interesting stuff happening on Impact. I just wish Josh Matthews wasn't commentating, because it just sounds so fake.
I'm enjoying Wade Barrett as a commentator for NXT.
Well, he's amazing. He's good at everything. He was doing really well doing the commentary for NWA Power before that stopped filming. And of course, then all the guys that not all of them, but most of the guys that you want to see for NWA Power have moved like Wade Barrett is back with WWE, and then Ricky Starks and Eddie Edwards, who were some standout performers on Power, are both performing in AEW now. Thunder Rosa is defending the NWA Women's Championship against Ivelisse tomorrow on.
Oh man, that should
Yeah.
be good.
So it's nice that there's still and then NWA, I think either was it Monday night? Is it tonight? Anyway, NWA has a live program or a live pay-per-view for like $10 or something, where Aldis is facing Mike Bennett for the NWA Championship, and that's coming up. So
Good for him.
I'm glad they're doing. I'm just glad.
After all he's been through.
Oh, for certain, and also just for the NWA, because Billy invested a lot into that NWA. He put his own money in to start running these shows. They taped all these episodes. They taped like 2 seasons of this NWA Power, and then it just went. When everything went to shit, they had to stop filming their shows, and like a big part of their shows, because it was studio wrestling, was there was an audience of like 50 or 100 people there, and you could kind of hear everybody individually yelling at somebody, and like the wrestlers would like interact individually with the fans in the crowd. There was the guy who dressed like a Tennessee Volunteer in the the colors of Tennessee Volunteers and the orange and the white, but he looked like Santa Claus, and everybody liked the Santa Claus guy, and like it was a neat little environment that they had to unfortunately stop filming in. But now it sounds like they're coming back to do shows.
What is MLW doing?
Yeah, MLW I saw is coming back October 2nd. I'm not quite sure what their entire strategy or game plan is.
Do you remember who's the champion there? I forgot.
Fatu.
Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, Jacob Fatu is the champion, and he's great.
That guy's going to be doing big things in wrestling in the coming years.
He must be really he must be fairly loyal to MLW, or have a really good, have a fairly good contract with them, because you would think if AEW wanted a guy like Jacob Fatu to come in,
they could have him.
He's basically what Roman Reigns should have been all along.
He could come in and he could be, and he could. I mean, think of Jacob Fatu against Miro. That would be I would love to see those two guys just beat the brakes off each other. That would be a great match. Speaking of Miro, Rusev, the former Rusev, the best man in AEW, literally coming in not just as Kip Sabian's best man, but the best man. So what I've heard,
Dominic Mysterio's old haircut.
Yes, with the bleach. I don't know what he's doing with that. And then he had that Gucci. Everything that he wore the Gucci top, the Gucci sweatpants, and then the Yeezys. It was like a $2,000 outfit that he just, it's the
apparently it's an outfit that he always wanted to wear in WWE, and they wouldn't let him, which is why he came out. But I will say this though, I'm so fucking happy for him, because I swear a week or two prior to that, I thought I read something that says he retired from the wrestling business. He was going to just Twitch and make money and do his thing. Now all of a sudden he's in AEW, and it's amazing. I got excited for him. Because I enjoy Rusev. I enjoy watching him, Miro, whatever we're going to call him now. But then, of course, they still, like, the amount of comments I see on social media. Here we go. Now it's just becoming all elite WWE, and there's like, who gives it? Like, you're going to see Miro's going to be a major player in AEW. He's going to be used correctly.
Right.
And
the way that they wouldn't use him in WWE.
Correct.
Rob Van Dam called it all petite wrestling.
I mean, they do have a lot of small guys. Rusev is one of the bigger ones now.
Vince, that NWA you were talking about is tonight at 9.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. NWA tonight at 9. Mike Bennett.
There's also the coming back NXT UK, and they're doing like this whole Heritage Cup, which is very basically much like the Ring of Honor Pure title kind of thing. They have rounds and this and that,
Yeah. So I mean, that'll be. I'm just I'm glad that wrestling had some different ways of staying alive during this. Even those shows where like they ran like a secret show and there was no audience, and like some indie promotion streamed it because they had a couple wrestlers get together. People were still making wrestling content while this was all going on. And now with the ability to run shows, even socially distanced shows with very few fans, it's a good thing all around. And really what it did was it opened up opportunities for guys that wouldn't have necessarily been getting those opportunities to shine. Because I mean, there's a lot of guys on SmackDown that would have had their screen time taken up by Roman Reigns if he was around. You wouldn't have, if NWA didn't stop running, you wouldn't have had Ricky Starks or Eddie Kingston or Thunder Rosa make appearances on Dynamite or get signed to Dynamite. Some good things ended up coming out of the bad, which is always a positive. Trying to make the best out of a terrible situation. But
apps like Zoom have made a tremendous amount of money this year.
Yeah, and then Zoom, like there was Zoom wrestling shows. I bought tickets to Zoom stand-up comedy shows. There was people were finding ways to monetize and keep their industries afloat virtually.
You adapt and figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got that Galaxy Con Saturday night, man. I'm eating the cast of Rocky Horror. I'm all set.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
look at that. I didn't even know they were doing that, but I guess that makes sense. Conventions that can't run are still doing meet and greets and stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, this one was like, it was free pretty much unless you wanted to pay like for the Tim Curry thing, but they wanted an absurd amount for Tim Curry. So I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah. But I mean, can you imagine in the future when if things go back to like pre-COVID, can you imagine how big WrestleCon is going to be after that?
Oh, I don't even want to think about that, because then you have to think about all those people with all their germs at WrestleCon.
and you're talking about literally hundreds of thousands of people. I mean,
Yeah.
I've worked, I think, 3 WrestleCons, and it's just absurd the amount of people.
It gets bigger.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. But that's the thing. I don't know. We have to. Who even knows as a society what we're doing about these kind of events? We're gonna have to ease back into them. Even with conventions, maybe they're able to run a smaller number that's still where the promoters can still make money by selling tickets to the convention, while not having it be at capacity. But I don't know. But you're right that's people are waiting for those kind of events to happen again. But it's going to be weird because, like, the expectation when you go to a convention, you pay your $25, $30, whatever it is, and you go up, you shake the person's hand, you meet them, you get a picture with them, you're standing face to face with them. I mean, like, everybody from Star Trek is so goddamn old. If you cough near William Shatner, he's like 92, you're going to kill the fucking guy. We already lost Leonard. We don't need to lose Shatner too. But I'm just thinking.
There's someone on the wing.
And he's an old maniac too. But anyway, like
my time is now. Wow.
If you're a celebrity, he did do that freaking stupid thing. If you're a celebrity, are you gonna want? Not that you want to in the first place, but now you've got less of a reason to. You're gonna want to meet people and shake 1,000 people. You're the Green Ranger, and all these people are lined up in front of you with their toys and shit. And you're gonna want to shake everybody's hand, and they're all gonna want to do karate poses next to you and breathe their stinky breath on you, and they might have coronavirus. Like, it's just, I don't know how conventions are gonna work going forward, because I feel like there's going to be some kind of, you check in with someone, you show your badge. Okay, you brought a toy, you hand the toy over, the person sanitizes the toy and hands it through a plastic thing, and then like Keanu Reeves autographs it and Lysols it and sends it back out, and like then it's a hermetically sealed plastic. It just sounds like so many. You're gonna have to go through so many steps to get an autograph at a convention now.
And unfortunately, it sounds like a very real possibility.
Yeah.
Right, you're gonna have to go like this. If you're meeting the guy that played friggin' Chewbacca, you're gonna be after like a mile away from him because his arms are so long. I met Peter Mayhew. He's a big dude. If you tried to stand arm's length away from him, you'd be halfway across the damn room.
Vince, when you said show your badge, I thought you said something else.
No, like you're
Eric!
Man, find it in the gutter.
Right.
Oh no.
Well,
Oh,
on
it's good
that
to be
note,
back.
ladies and gentlemen, it is top of the hour.
Oh man, this was all a ruse, ladies and gentlemen. We built a whole dating site just to try and get Eric laid. He just talks about pussy too much. We had to make a website.
I do. I Vegas like a lot. So
Hey man, you are what you eat. I get it.
I just hit my head on my wall.
Oh no. Oh, you don't want to get a lump before you meet the cast of Rocky Horror.
I need more hair for that to happen.
All right, so I guess we're gonna take off this. Man, that hour blew by. But you are watching or listening to The War Report, brought to you by TagMeADate.com, a first and only dating site exclusively for fans of professional wrestling. We've taken a little break to redesign the site to kind of research how people are actually meeting and interacting and dating now, because once again, we're trying to figure out the safest ways to go about our daily lives and back to the things that we enjoy. So once we figure out a safe way to implement matching and meeting and talking on Tag Me a Date and redesigning the site, we'll be back up. Follow us on social media at Tag Me a Date if you want to keep updated with all of that and keep updated with our show. We're on, it's all at Tag Me a Date, should be just all one word, Tag Me a Date, no spaces. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're now on Periscope. We're also on TikTok now, which Steve is apparently managing the TikTok account. That's new. I
Trying.
Yeah, it's a new thing, so we're gonna give it a shot. Why not? So social media at Tag Me a Date. If you prefer an audio version of the podcast, you can go to your favorite podcast apps such as SoundCloud, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, or the Google Play Podcast Store. Look up Tag Me a Date. Again, all one word, at Tag Me a Date. You should be able to find us. Hit the subscribe link there, and it will drop an audio version of the podcast into your podcast queue every week. We usually deliver that to you one day after we go live. So we go live on Tuesdays. Usually the audio version's up on Wednesdays. And of course, if you want to watch our live streams, we have a Tag Me a Date page on Facebook. We've got a War Report group on Facebook where we stream the live video to. We're on Twitch. We're on Periscope. We're on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, type Tag Me a Date into the search bar, hit the button, and you'll be brought right to our page, or, our page will come up as the top search result. Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, so you get alerts for when we go live or upload videos. And if you want to stick with us live, once again, it's Twitch and it's Periscope and it's YouTube and it's Facebook, but it's all Tuesday evenings, 7 p.m. on Eastern time. So, follow along. If you didn't, if you didn't watch this week, you can listen. If you want to go back and listen to the archives, you can just go listen to a pre-recorded, episode from last week. If you want to see what our thoughts were about a particular show, just go back to the archives, find the date, and we're probably talking about a pay-per-view you watched or a live version of Monday Night Raw or Dynamite or SmackDown or NXT. Just take a look at our archive. You can probably find what you're looking for, and we'll discuss it. If it was noteworthy or newsworthy, we definitely talked about it here on the show. Noteworthy or newsworthy for the wrestling business, that is. And of course, we'll be right back here live on all those apps I just mentioned, broadcasting another video version of this podcast next Tuesday, 7 p.m. on Eastern time. So, adjust your clocks and fix your you-know-whats, and we'll be here for next week. Next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And thank you for watching.